And besides that, they're dancing and doing all these weird things to Guru Gobind Singh's sacred banis. This is completely against Sikhi. It needs to stop. And we need to tell the Akal Takht about it and get the Jethedar of the Akal Takht to talk to these people and get them to change. Now this is another picture here I want to point out. This was, again, after another tantric yoga course at their summer solstice. And they're playing all this rav music, they're dancing, they're going wild. There's a video on YouTube, which I'll put a link to, which you can see the entire thing. How they're just, a lot of the people are not wearing appropriate clothing. They have their backs and shoulders, the women, the backs and shoulders showing, and it's just not appropriate, a lot of it. Again, I've kept the faces blurred so that you can't make out who the faces of the people, so that it don't get it deleted and censored. Other thing I want to point out here is that they use the same area for the Gurdwara. The Gurdwara is right behind here, behind this screen, and they're doing an Akampot right there, right at the same time as this dance, this rav. It's loud rock and roll music, and it's very disturbing how they take a sacred place where the Gurdwara is, and they do this kind of completely inappropriate, at the least, dancing and going on about this. Most people would never know that this is the Gurdwara, but I know. I've been to this summer solstice up there in the hills of New Mexico where they do the tantric yoga at least a dozen times over the last 30 years. And I know that this is the Gurdwara here. They keep a gate over it, and they say, oh, that's enough. But you can hear all of this going on, all this rock and roll, all this junk going on when you're doing the Akampot in there. And they do a Akampot in there the entire time during the summer solstice. So it's very disturbing when you're reading from the Guru and the people that are trying to sit there and trying to do meditation and concentrate on Guru Sahib. It's completely against Sikhi. So this is another thing we need to change. This is another YouTube video that shows this Shakti dance tantric that these 3HO people do. It's just crazy. It's wild. It's inappropriate. Sikhs should not be doing this. And again, these are the kind of events, these are the kind of things the 3HO people would rather be doing than coming to the traditional Sikh or the Gur Sikh events, where we talk about Sikh, getting a Sikh homeland, we talk about Gurbani, we talk about things that are part of Sikhi, not this kind of Shakti dance stuff, which is more towards the Hindu tradition. Now, this is what the event was about there this Sunday. It was about recognizing those who martyred themselves. There was a lot of talks about Sant Bhindranwale Ji. And I want to point out to you how my interaction with Sant Singh Ji, and also you can see here Sant Singh Ji, he spent a lot of his time on the roof of Guru Nanak Nivas. This is where I met him in 1982 in October. And you can see here the Darbar Sahib is in the background, and this is right near where the Baba Atal is there in the Harmandir complex. So I want to point out here how Yogi Bhajan did have interactions with Sant Singh Ji. But in this picture here, you can see Sant Singh Ji has his arms crossed, and you can tell specifically that his body language is defensive against Yogi Bhajan, meaning that the way I interpret this is that he was very skeptical of what Yogi Bhajan was saying. Of course, Yogi Bhajan, with his real salesman type of body language, you can see him trying to persuade Sant Singh to his type of thinking. And I want to point out, for those who haven't seen this new video I made a couple weeks ago, where I interviewed a top army official, used to be a top army official in the Indian Army, He's a Sikh gentleman, and he was a brigadier general, quite a high position there in the Indian Army. And he told me on camera that Sant Bhindranwale Singh Ji told him that there was a meeting with Indira Gandhi, Badal, who's the current Prime Minister, or current Chief Minister of Punjab, and then this Yogi Bhajan. They all met together, and Yogi Bhajan offered to assassinate. He said he had a sharpshooter who would shoot Sant Bhindranwale Singh Ji. So, if nothing else, this shows that Sant Bhindranwale Singh Ji was definitely skeptical and leery of about what Yogi Bhajan did. And this is how the 3HO people carry on now. They refuse to participate with fellow Sikhs in the marches, in the protests. You'll never see them at any of these events. Even though, like I said, the San Francisco ashram is just a few blocks away, with the Yogi Bhajan people living there in San Francisco, they don't come to these events. And there's a reason for it, because I think their underlying agenda is to just get people into this Bhajanism. They were supporters of Indira Gandhi, and you can see here Yogi Bhajan bowing slightly and giving Indira Gandhi a gift. There's pictures of Yogi Bhajan teaching Indira Gandhi yoga with a bunch of other yoga students. SikhNet has copyrights to that photo, so I can't use it, or otherwise, again, they censor me and get my videos deleted from YouTube. So Yogi Bhajan, this is one of my personal pictures here so I can use it. Yogi Bhajan had a lot of interactions and a lot of close relations with this Gyani, president of India. And you can see him here. He was a real henchman of Indira Gandhi. You can see him here again. This was at a party. So again, I was with Yogi Bhajan for 30 years, so I know I'm very aware of a lot of his goings on and what he was really about. You can see me here in a 1980s photo where I'm with him. You can see Yogi Bhajan's got all the women on one side over here and the men are over here. Really very telling, I think. Anyway, so this was me here in the brown jacket. And so I'm really aware of a lot of these things that happen in the Yogi Bhajan organization. And so that's why I talk about it quite a bit. And I talk about it in this book, Confessions of an American Sikh. So I wrote this book in 2012 and published it on Amazon. It's available for only 99 cents, and it tells a lot about my experiences in the Yogi Bhajan cult and also how I got out of it and how I discovered real Sikhi. So I'd be happy to send you a free book if you just don't want to spend the 99 cents. You can write me, and I'll put my email address and information in the description of the video, and I'd be happy to send you a free copy of the book. So these are some of the practices, again, this tantric yoga that the Yogi Bhajan people participate in over going to Sikh events. And now this was a recent article. It's entitled Maharaj the Mahan Tantric. And it was an academic study that was done by Philip Gillespie. And he's a fairly neutral person in all of this. And he has a PhD, and he teaches at a well-known university. I can't remember the university right offhand. But he really showed how Yogi Bhajan made up a lot of what he taught. And if he didn't make it up, he stole it from other people. And really made up a lot of the stories, too, about the lineage of his Kundalini Yoga, which is very interesting and telling. Because from what I can tell after leaving 3HO and learning more about what Yogi Bhajan taught, he was really a psychopathic liar. He was really bad. So this is a good thing, and I'll put the link to this Maharaj the Mahan Tantric down there in the description of the video again. This was an article that came out 2010 about Yogi Bhajan in the Eugene Register Guard, Yogi's Legacy in Question. Now there were several high-level secretaries who sued Yogi Bhajan for rape and a number of other really horrendous things. There are many other people who talk about these instances where Yogi Bhajan abused them. It's really hard to listen to a lot of it, but it's the truth, and I think we need to know about it, and we need to understand that the 3HO people are practicing this yoga. It's like a poisonous seed, and it will create poisonous fruit. There's no question about it in my mind. And I think a lot of what Yogi Bhajan did was just to hypnotize people, get people into his cult, and to promote his own, what he called Bhajanism. And you can see that more and more coming out. The people in 3HO, if you talk to them, and I encourage any of you to go down there and interview the people down there in Espanola, New Mexico, where I spent many, many years. Interview those people and talk to them about Yogi Bhajan. First of all, they're very defensive about talking about anything Yogi Bhajan said or did. They won't listen to anything about the truth about him. And this tells you that they're probably under some kind of spell this Yogi Bhajan had over them, kind of a hypnosis or something. A lot of the exercises and things that are done, even today, they have Yogi Bhajan's voice in the background where he is overlaid over the yoga and things like that. Very hypnotic, very consuming of your thoughts. They can use really loud gong sounds in order to get you involved in this yoga. I think it's really to get people to get into the cult and get more into it like that. It's an interesting thought. Now, this is some things that Yogi Bhajan people do, like they bring the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib once a week on Sundays into the Gurdwara, and they take it under this Yogi Bhajan large painting that's there in the Espanola Gurdwara. You can see here on the left here. And the only thing that should be in the Darbar of the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib is the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. So you focus your attention on the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. We shouldn't have these paintings of tantric yogis in there in the Darbar Sahib. They do yoga in there. Every morning they do yoga in the Darbar of the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. You can, again, go visit there yourself to Espanola. At 5 a.m. in the morning, or 4 a.m. they start. They do yoga, and they do these Yogi Bhajan mantras that are made up by Yogi Bhajan, a lot of them. And so you can see their orientation is really towards doing Yogi Bhajan's bidding. This is another picture of Yogi Bhajan that, by the way, he had us meditate on this picture. He called it a tantric picture. And that's in the Darbar of the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib as well. Now, these are some of the descriptions of some of the court cases. You can find these all online. This was from Premkar, who sued Yogi Bhajan over these issues. And I'm particularly aware of these things because I was on security with Yogi Bhajan for many years there in Los Angeles. And at the time that these lawsuits were going on, Yogi Bhajan was going to La Scala, Beverly Hills, eating lunch every day. We'd spend thousands of dollars on lunches. I'm definitely aware of that. But yet, when I talked to the attorney who represented Premka just a couple of years ago, after I got out of 3HO, he told me Yogi Bhajan refused to give his deposition in these cases. And for any of you who don't know what deposition is, you come and you give your truthful testimony before the different attorneys before a court case happens. And Yogi Bhajan refused to come. He'd always get an excuse from his Khalsa doctors saying that he had this heart condition and he couldn't come. Well, I know for a fact that he was healthy enough. He could have gone to a deposition because the attorneys will come to you to take the deposition. You don't have to go to them. They'll come to you and they'll take your deposition right there in your home or office, wherever you want to take it. But Yogi Bhajan refused to give his deposition or to tell the truth under the lights, as this attorney for Premka said. So this tells me Yogi Bhajan was definitely hiding something. I think he was hiding a lot, to be honest. And this is how the Yogi Bhajan people treat Yogi Bhajan. They put him on the altars. They they say prayers for him in the Sikh Ardas. They bow before his death place. This is a Yogi Bhajan follower bowing to this idol of Baba Sri Chand that Yogi Bhajan promoted. And they use these idols like Hindus do. I had a friend who was with me once. We went out to visit the Yogi Bhajan people, and he remarked to me, he said, it's just like going to a Hindu mandir. You know, the way they have this idol of Baba Sri Chand there at the Gurdwara in Espanola, and there were money offerings there. There were little garlands around its neck, and he remarked to me, like I said, that, oh, just like being in a Hindu mandir. And my friend, by the way, was a Hindu, and like I said, I respect Hindus and I don't hold anything against them, but if you're going to say you're a Sikh, you shouldn't be doing these Hindu practices. That's the bottom line. And these people, the Yogi Bhajan people, gather and they do these practices there at Yogi Bhajan's death place, where this is, there in Espanola. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji told us not to worship at the graves of the dead, yet they do this. And again, for any of you who like to visit down there in Espanola, I definitely recommend it. In October will represent the 10th anniversary of Yogi Bhajan's death, and they'll be having these big celebrations. I think they're going to have a Yogi Bhajan statue built, and they're going to do all these Yogi Bhajan mantras for 40 days before this 10th anniversary. So that'd be a good opportunity to interview these people, to talk to them about what they really believe in. Don't take my word for it. Actually go and visit them. This is a close-up of that Baba Sri Chand idol. And you can see how they garland it just like they would in a Hindu mandir. It's really disgusting. Anyway, and then here's Yogi Bhajan. He never wore a kirpan. He lived a lavish lifestyle. I was there in Acapulco when this picture was taken. I was on security. So I know that these pictures are not photoshopped. They're the real thing. And I never saw Yogi Bhajan wear a kirpan in my entire time that I knew him. So this is an example of how they have made these artifacts of Yogi Bhajan's clothing. And it's kind of like the Christians, the Catholics did in the medieval times when they took some of Yogi Bhajan's, a piece of his robe, and they're selling it in this brooch here with his picture to raise money. It's just ludicrous. In my Sikhs don't do any of this kind of stuff. So, and then Yogi Bhajan spent a lot of times in Beverly Hills buying jewelry, and he believed that stones had magical powers, and he tried to get me to wear different stones so that I could attract the energy of the stars and have different powers. Complete nonsense. I learned about this is against the Sikh teachings. This is his right-hand man, this Hari Jivan, who I had a lot of dealings with. I talk a lot about him in the book, too. So, again, I encourage you to read my book. It has a lot of more stories in there that I could go on and on about how Yogi Bhajan, he used these gems different days of the week in order to get different powers like this. And again, this is completely against Sikh teachings. And this is how the Yogi Bhajan people treat him. They prostrate themselves in front of this. This is in front of that, what they call the dome there in Espanola, the meditation dome. And Yogi Bhajan people prostrate themselves before it at Yogi Bhajan's death place. There again, you can see. And you can see this is clearly the dome there because you can see in the background, Hari Jivan just talked about this place, this little awning place back here where people would meet in a recent letter. And as I said before, the Yogi Bhajan people put down the Sikhs from India and traditional Sikhs. They don't think that they're really Sikhs. And this was because Yogi Bhajan taught us this. It's not their fault, really, necessarily, but we need to change that image. We need to change their image, is what I should say, about how they view traditional Sikhs. Again, prostrating there at Yogi Bhajan's death place. These are some comments I made about Yogi Bhajan's kind of made-up kriyas. And he used Kachi Bani, which is really not correct, and it really distorts how